Hello, Bible readers. It is Tuesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And we're reading Psalm 74 and 79, 2 Kings 24 and 25, Hebrews chapter 13. We're ending two big efforts, both Hebrews and 2 Kings. Let me start with Hebrews. Final exhortations today. Hebrews has been a surprise for me. I've gotten more out of this than the last time I read through it. I can see what I highlighted and underlined the last time I read through this, which was, 20 years ago? And I didn't highlight much. But I think I got a lot more out of it because of my Bible reading in the Old Testament, and especially reading it alongside Jeremiah. I think that has helped. Anyway, chapter 12 ended with Zion, the unshakable kingdom, another very Old Testament illustration. And here's what the author is trying to say. Christians have not arrived at a soft and permissive place in their relationship with God. The proper posture before God is not chumminess. What a Friend We Have in Jesus would not have been Hebrews' favorite hymn. The author of Hebrews would not have requested that song at his funeral. The Gospel of John uses that language where Jesus calls upon his disciples as friends. But Hebrews would say our posture before God should be offered in worship and reverence and awe. Fear of the Lord, not scared of, but fear of, awe in the Lord is more where Hebrews is coming from. God remains a consuming fire to the author of Hebrews. Some people feel like, I know I've heard this many times, like the New Testament God is different from the Old Testament God. And part of why that is because oftentimes Christians talk about God like a teddy bear, willing to go along with whatever. And then they hear about or read stories about God in the Old Testament, and it feels very disconnected. Hebrews is not on board with the teddy bear illustration. Now you might wonder, what is acceptable worship? If we're supposed to be in posture to God, our relationship to God is worshipful and reverent and awe. What is acceptable worship? What does that look like? That's among the final exhortations. What kind of heart we bring, what kind of actions we offer. Chapter 13 sounds like the end to a letter, doesn't it? Like an epistle would end. Everything else about Hebrews has not been much like a Pauline letter. But this chapter 13 is. Without it, we might call Hebrews a sermon, simply. It's not really a letter, an epistle. It's like a sermon. To many, then, chapter 13 feels like an add-on that makes it more palatable or marketable to readers of the day. It fits more like a normal early church writing with chapter 13 in it. So, bye-bye Hebrews. Psalm 74 and Psalm 79 are written for communities in lament, which is appropriate as our Old Testament readings have come to the time of exile for Jerusalem. Psalm 74, don't forget your afflicted people, appropriate for a people who've just been exiled from their own land, or for people who are experiencing any such kind of circumstances. Psalm 79, the nations are asking, where is their God? This is a communal lament that nations are asking that. Finally, 2 Kings, we see kind of this list of the final kings of Jerusalem, of Judah. Jehoiakim is remembered for making allies with foreign powers instead of God. That, of course, reinforces Jeremiah's story of how that all went down. Jehoiachin is no better. Zedekiah, strike three. And then you've got this Gedaliah. This person is set up as governor, and he echoes Jeremiah's advice, obey the Babylonians, which was kind of surprising. But then Gedaliah gets killed for kind of echoing Jeremiah. And it ends, the 2 Kings does, with Jehoiachin fasting. Or not fasting, feasting. But feasting out of power. He's feasting with people who have come into power. I know this is going to take me a little long, go past 5 minutes, as I'm at 5 minutes right now, but I wanted to read this one paragraph to kind of give us a sense of where 2 Kings, where does that leave us? Davidic kingship, as one knows it from the book of Kings, has now ended. The house of David, however, lives on. In the post-exilic period, so after the exile, Zerubbabel, a scion of Jehoiachin, would be called upon to join with the high priest to rebuild the temple of Jerusalem. We'll read about that in Haggai, a minor prophet. Zerubbabel, though, would never become king in Jerusalem. Yet in time, a descendant of Jehoiachin and Zerubbabel would be born. We'll read about that in the Gospel of Matthew. We have read about that. So a descendant of Jehoiachin and Zerubbabel would be born who would go on to play the role of king, Jesus, although his kingship would not be of this world, and in him God's expectations of a righteous king would finally be met. Instead of leading people to sin and finally to destruction, as all these other kings have done, that King Jesus would save people from darkness and bring about the forgiveness of sins. So this is the end of the line in one way, but not in the line of Davidic kings totally. It's an interesting place that we are in Scripture. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.